We have several to ratify from the last meeting when we didn't have a quorum. That is up on the screen, isn't it?
Madam Chair, I move to ratify items 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, 2.10, 2.11, 2.12.
Wait.
No, back up.
Yeah.
Excuse me, stop at 2.9. I'm sorry, 2.10 to ratify in toto. Those were all presented last month when we did not have quorum.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Mr. Donahoe has seconded. All in favor? Any opposition?
So it's
Okay.
2.1 to 2.10.
Yes.
Got that? Okay, all right. Let's move to 211, Megan Nicholson, 161, 163 Cypress, major repairs. Is anyone here representing Ms. Nicholson?
If this is the one from last
Yeah,
month,
that's,
they were here
that-
to repair the back of the house where the tree had fallen.
Mhm.
Is that the one?
that's it.
Now, I don't know if there's been anything since that time period, but she was given the okay
To move forward.
to move
Yes.
forward to repair it to where no water gets in and things like that.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
So do we move to ratify that one?
That one should be in a ratify.
Yes.
There's a
So we
motion to
should be starting
ratify?
with 2.12.
Pardon?
We should be starting with 2.12.
Okay.
Correct.
I move to ratify 2.11.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Dr. Horton, seconded by Ms. Salter. All in favor? Any opposition? Application 2.12, Rolling Hills Ministries, 400 University Parkway. Who is representing the ministries? Would you go up to the podium, please? Yeah.
I'm David Abernathy, CEO of Rolling Hills. It's good to be with you again tonight. I have our engineer with us, Bob Myers, that is here, as well as one of our directors, John Cowling. We came last month talking about the water tower over on University at the building that we're hopefully going to have open in about 4 weeks. God willing, we're shooting for June 1, okay? And we're excited. The transition, and I've already hired about 20 people, and so we're excited about that. We didn't realize or fully understand the scope of the shape of the water tower on purchasing of the property. And once we began to look at the legs, and I don't know, and we took some drone footage for you. You requested the opportunity to look at drone footage of the tower. But we didn't fully understand the scope of the deterioration of the tower. Very little has been done to that tower probably in the last 30 or 40 years. And once we investigated it further, we realized that based on the legs of the tower, that the tower is not safe. It is structurally unsound, and it is a liability. And I'm going to let Bob, our engineer, speak to that, if you will, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, David. Thank you, committee.
Is there any, excuse me, can we get the photographs up on the screen in the council chambers? So everybody can see that? Okay. Well, while you're talking, maybe it'll come up, or we'll go back.
Thank you. It's good to be with you again tonight. I think they're trying to pull the photos up now. As I told the committee at the last meeting, this style tank was popular in the 1920s and the 1930s. It's a witch hat style tank that was popular then, and it really fell out of popularity after about the 1930s when other style tanks were in place. To our knowledge, the tank has not been in service for some time, and has not been painted since about the 1980s, is our understanding. The tank is in disrepair, especially around the legs. Those were the pictures you had at the last meeting of just around the legs. We were able to get some drone footage of some additional pictures to show you. But based on the current condition of the tank, based on the cost to rehabilitate the tank, it was our recommendation to remove the tank. It's not being used for its intended purpose, which was to hold water. It's not been used for that purpose for some time, and it's a liability to the property and the adjacent property if something were to fall off of that structure. So it was our recommendation to remove that structure.
I went by this afternoon, I should have gone in and said hello, but I was in a hurry to get here. I did look at it, and I believe one of our other commissioners did
Well,
too.
We all have,
Um,
I think, we all have.
And it's not in good shape, but I wanted to share something with you. Rebecca Blankenberger, have you met Ms. Blankenberger?
No.
She is the executive director of the Cane River National Heritage Area, which is under the umbrella of the national park, because we are a landmark status community. She is very in tune to grants. She thinks that possibly there would be some grant money to take care of the cost of rehabbing it. She was going to come tonight, but her mother is having surgery.
Okay.
She authorized me to give you her contact information so that perhaps you all could talk with her about what would be possible.
Okay.
If you would be open to doing that. I think it would.
I mean, we'll be open to it. It's not our desire to come into the community before you ever get open and upset people. I mean, our main thing is just the liability of it. We
Sure.
think if it were to fall, and I'm not sitting here tonight saying it's gonna fall, but based on the condition of the legs, if it were to fall, we think it would go toward the cemetery.
Yeah.
But we're also worried if it didn't fall toward the cemetery, what would happen if it fell on the building?
Sure.
And elite Nastics over on the other side, it could be catastrophic. And Bob has some figures. We've been talking to tank painters. We've been talking to, and he has some figures he could share. We're not in a position to spend the kind of money that it would take to refurbish that tank when it has no useful purpose as far as holding water. But anyway, Bob can speak to the.
I shared with the committee last time, we were involved in a tank repainting project that just finished in the town of Marion, which is up around the Arkansas line. It's a similar sized tank. The tank we just finished did not have lead paint associated with it. I suspect that this one does, but it would require some shrouding and it would require lead paint abatement. The tank we just finished painting inside and out, because a water tank corrodes both ways, right? It corrodes from the inside out as well as the outside in. To repaint the tank we just finished in Marion was a $200,000 project. It was the cost to shroud the tank, to blast it, and to repaint it. So to address this one the way it needs to be addressed, both structurally and corrosion resistance, would be a significant undertaking. And if grants are available, that's great. I just don't know of grants that size that would be available for that particular purpose.
We did discover too, with the drone photographs, that the lid on top of the tank is open. And apparently it has been open for a long time.
Is this where you used your drone?
Do what?
Is this where you used your drone to look at the top of it?
Right, and that picture's not included in there, but,
Because the one that's included shows it completely covered, the one that's included.
yes.
The
But
top.
the lid is open on top of the tank, which means for years, if not the last several decades, every time it rains, it's been raining inside the tank, which has sped up the corrosion inside the tank as well. Of course, I asked Bob, where's that water going? And I guess not enough is falling in there that I guess it's evaporating, we don't know.
Or leaking out.
Let me ask you, I don't know anything about what goes into repairing, you say this paint job. Is that needed to make the structure of the tank structurally sound? It would have to.
If an entity were to invest money to make it more structurally sound, I think it makes sense to prevent future corrosion to where you're not back in the same situation several years from now where you've had more corrosion and more. But so to answer your question, to repaint, to blast and repaint the tank is just to protect it from future corrosion.
Okay. And it's your opinion that the structure is not, it's not structurally sound because of corrosion at the legs? Is that?
Well, so I'm not a structural engineer. I'm a civil engineer that does a lot of work with water and wastewater systems, and I've had some experience with tanks like this and tank painting and tank removal projects. I can tell you that I haven't seen many worse than this tank.
Well, what makes, okay, and what I'm trying to get down, and I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, I was out of town, or last month, but is there something wrong with the legs to the tank that render it not structurally sound?
Do you have that picture from the last
I
meeting?
do not have that. I have to get it for you.
You can describe it to me, I don't need to see it.
There is significant rust and deterioration at the base where the concrete and the tank legs meet, where the foundation of the pavement and the tank legs meet. In fact, that's the worst deterioration on the tank, is right there at that interface between the concrete and the tank legs.
That's what I'm wondering.
And has a structural engineer given an opinion that it's at risk of collapse?
No, there's been no opinion given to that effect.
Okay, so what would it, that's the fear, it sounds like, that it's gonna collapse, right? That's what you're worried about?
I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna
I know
collapse
you're not,
in
I
the
know
next
you're not
5.
asking you to predict that it's gonna collapse next week.
We were
But you're-
shocked to see the amount of, here's the pictures. Okay, here it is. We were shocked to see the amount of corrosion at the base of the tank and the feet. You literally, if you walk up and kick it with your shoe, it disintegrates just from your shoe.
Don't kick it with your shoe.
Yeah, don't kick
Do
it.
that, do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but my question, and so as you as the building owner, is your reason that you want this taken down is because you fear that it's going to collapse either on your structure or, and injure somebody inside or some?
That is correct.
Okay. And you're basing that fear, and I'm not saying it's unfounded, but I just want to make sure I understand the facts, based on just your general observation of that. You don't have a structural engineer that said that thing is dangerous, it's gonna collapse if you don't fix it?
No, we do not.
Okay. And let's assume that a structural engineer says that, yeah, you need to have that done or it's gonna collapse. Do you have any idea of what the cost would be to make it structurally sound?
No, we do not.
All right. I'm not worried, I'm not saying not worried, I'm not questioning about the cost of making it look nice. I'm just to eliminate the danger it poses. That to me is what I'm interested in knowing, the cost of it.
And again, the long-term sustainability, if a tank is in the air and is there, well, first of all, if a tank were to be in that condition for a water tank to hold water, the state wouldn't allow it to be in use.
I'm not,
No, I understand. You're talking about it standing there. And
I could care less if it holds water.
I understand.
Yeah.
But in order for it to remain standing, the corrosion issue needs to be
It
addressed.
needs to be abated, it needs to be
That's
stopped.
what I'm struggling
And
with there.
Yeah.
I'm, just to make an educated decision on my part, I would want to know what is the risk that this actually poses of collapse? And then what are the costs associated with stopping that risk? Because I think that is going to inform my decision on whether or not I would approve demolishing it. I'd want to know, hey, I mean, that looks bad, but I'm not an engineer. I don't know what that means. There's 4 other bolts to it that are connected. An engineer may look at that and say, that thing could fall any day, or may look at that and tell me it won't. I don't know. I'm just a lawyer. I don't know what that means. But he may also tell me that, yeah, that could collapse next week, but I can replace those parts for, $1,500, $2,000. I may just be crazy. I don't know what that amount would be. But as opposed to a $200,000 project, then my decision may be different. I don't know what I don't know. And so I'm just interested, we don't know what an structural engineer is gonna say about whether or not it's sound, and 2, if it's not sound, what it's gonna cost to prevent it from falling. And that's the information for me to vote to demolish it that I would need.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion, there's a lot of other people on this board.
Did you want to say something?
You know, I think of the liability, and if it does fall, and we're not allowed to proceed, and pictures have been taken, there's words in the minutes, then, you know, what's the fallout from that? And I don't know that you have to be a structural engineer, which we will go and
We
do
can
that.
do that. We'll hire a structural
But,
engineer,
You
we'll do
know,
whatever it takes.
would you want your house to sit on this? Absolutely not.
I didn't buy a house underneath it, so, I would have, before I bought a house underneath it, I would have asked the structural engineer, that's my honest response to that.
Well, I'm just saying, as far as the danger that it poses. And so, you know, that's personally my concern, is I don't want anybody to get hurt.
I'm the last person in the world that wants somebody to get hurt, especially if your kids running around there. I definitely don't want anybody to get hurt. But I also have a responsibility, and I think we all do, to make sure that if it is economically feasible to preserve a significant structure to our community, that we do so. And to make that decision, at least I have to know, well, what is the cost to the homeowner to repair it? What danger does it pose to me? It's just a balancing test, and without knowing the level of risk versus the cost, not to make it look pretty. I could care less. I want it to look pretty, but as far as my decision about whether or not I'm going to approve demolition of it, it's not whether or not it looks nice. It's whether or not what it's going to cost to prevent it from collapsing. And that's the information that I would
Do you
need.
have a structural engineer that you could give a report, or do you
I
want us-
don't know one, but
Well, and we can't do that.
Does
Okay.
Nowlan have one?
I'm sure he does.
I
Or he
guess
can
he
get
does.
us, he can get you.
But is
some-
time gonna be, the time I'm worried about it, and let's say a windstorm comes through, because this is the time of year where it happens.
How quickly
How
could you take
quickly,
care?
how quickly are we, where's the liability on their part of sitting and waiting for a structural engineer to do something and the thing fall?
I'd be heavily insured. If I
That's
owned
the
property.
balance that I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're not here trying to, that's not our intention. I mean, we're not even open to the community. We want to contribute to the community. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to do everything we can. I think you're going to be shocked at what the building looks like with with some floors and the painting that we've done and all that. It's not, you know, it's just our fear. We did not, and you say you should have known when you bought it. It was covered by some wood. We could not see it when we bought the building. There was wood, there was a wood little deck right there by the two really bad deteriorating feet all the way down to the ground, which meant whoever added that in recent years, it stayed wet 365 days a year under that little wood porch. And the only reason we took that little step out right there was because it was putting water into the building and causing rot in a flooring section. So, you know, we'll work with you. We'll talk to the lady about grants. You know,
No, we
As
can't
quick
do
as we
that.
can,
We
too.
can't.
yeah, I mean, we're not gonna sit on
Meeting
it. That's, you know, we want to do something too, so I'll,
And just so you understand, and Ms. Hagan can definitely talk more intelligently about this than I can, but our status gets affected when structures are demolished. I owned a structure that was severely damaged by a fire that was literally falling down and had to get it demolished. But even with that, I think it affects the more structures that we have in the district that get demolished, you reach a tipping point where you can lose your designation, and, you know, so if we do that, then we've got a lot more.
so to ask a question along those lines, and I understand that on the structure, but this really has nothing to do with the building. So would there be a different category for a structure such as a water tower compared to the building in the historic district that we're trying to preserve and hopefully even get on the register in the future?
For the purposes of what we're called to do under the ordinance, no, I don't think so. I think this falls squarely within our jurisdiction. Whether or not what impact these types of structures as opposed to homes have on our designation, that.
No,
Okay.
it's sort of a package deal.
Okay.
We also have the Louisiana Historic Resource Inventory. Every single structure, or if we'll refer to the water tank as a structure, every structure in the district is cataloged.
Okay.
The
And-
question I ask on that one, though, is the water tower cataloged as part of the Kelly Weber building?
We'd have to pull that.
Or is it
We
a separate structure?
Or is it at all?
Don't know. We'd have
But it's
to, we'd have to
sitting on-
pull that.
It's on
But
Kelly
it-
River property, so it would.
Yeah, it's on the same property.
Yeah.
Mr. Donahoe, with your comments, would you be prepared to bring forth a motion to have a structural engineer, an opinion from a structural engineer, and a cost estimate?
I can tell you, and certainly I want you to make that, whatever motion you deem appropriate. We can get a structural engineer to do a cost estimate, but as part of that cost estimate, would recommend some type of corrosion preventative, which is about a $200,000 estimate. I don't know at what point we reach a point where, gosh, that's a lot of money to spend on a water tank that's not holding water. I don't know if that's $200,000 or even if it's $20,000 to make it structurally sound. Now you're at $220,000. I just feel like knowing what I know to make it, to protect it from future corrosion, which is a structural issue. That's a lot of money to spend on a tank that's not
Well, you
holding
can
water.
if something to death. I mean, you can if this happens or if that happens. So I think that we need to come up with a concrete something tonight to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mind, Ms. Gagan, with the board's approval, obviously, if, to creating a subcommittee such that if we get this report in a week, then a subcommittee can meet on it and such that because of the emergency nature of it, the risk that it potentially could pose to people on the property.
We can establish the committee as a whole, so if you had the results of.
Well, what I'll do is I'll go back and in the morning, search out a structural engineer, okay? That'll be my first thing tomorrow, to find a structural engineer. And I'd like a point of contact with somebody on your committee.
Yeah.
So that I can let you know what we're doing. And, you know.
And if you think it's beneficial, it's completely up to you. But if you want us, you know, Ms. Gagan will select people to serve on this.
Well, I'll be honest.
Meet your engineer at the thing, and he can, after he's looked at it, he can show us, hey, this is why it needs to be taken down. This is, you know, I don't mind making time out of my schedule to go do that.
And I don't mind coming back a month from now or 2 months from now, okay? Because I feel like since this is so important to you as a committee and this community, maybe a subcommittee doesn't need to make that determination. You as a whole committee need to make that determination, okay?
Well, as I was saying, I can appoint the commission as a committee of the whole, which
Okay.
would include everybody,
Okay.
instead of having 2 or 3. Would that be
Or have to
agreeable?
attend another meeting?
Yeah.
It can be done without a meeting.
Well, I'm gonna lean on Bob, our engineer that's working with us, and like I said, we've got bids on painting, and we've got, you know, preliminary bids and some other things, just to see what we were talking about. I'd like to get the information on the lady with the, you said a lady with the grants,
Got it for you.
okay? And we wanna work with you. Like I said, we're not coming in to stir up something. That's
And
the last thing you
And
wanna
we
do
wanna
when you're
work-
new to
We
the
want to work with
community.
y'all because we want,
Yeah.
we love what y'all done. We love new businesses coming to our community, and we want to encourage that, and we're not trying to be an impediment. We have a responsibility.
I fully understand it. We wanna work with you, okay? We're not here to fight with you. We wanna work with you, okay? And to a conclusion that's in the best interest of everybody.
And we appreciate that. Mr. Donahoe, do you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I would move to table the application, subject to a report being produced by the applicant of an engineer and a cost estimate, an engineer's report that addresses the cost to repair and the structural soundness of the tank, and that the board appoint a committee, the committee as a whole, to review that report and make a decision on the application at that point.
Can I ask you a question before you vote on that?
Well, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Dr. Horton has seconded. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so in that, do you want just the structural part, or do you want us to receive estimates on the painting of the inside and outside of the tank?
Yeah, if you could just itemize what it's
Basic
gonna cost.
Estimate,
Yeah.
a basic cost estimate.
A
does
basic
not-
cost estimate,
To-
okay, I just want to be clear on what
Sure.
y'all are looking for.
And what I'm interested in knowing, and I understand that these things can overlap, because you have to prevent future corrosion. But the cost that I'm interested in is what is this going to cost? If this is at a risk of collapse, what it's gonna cost to make it structurally sound?
So you're dealing with the soundness of the tank before we even consider
What's gonna make it look pretty?
what's gonna make it look pretty?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because it can look like that and still be standing, maybe it can't be.
okay, okay. I just want to be clear on what
Sure.
you want.
Any other questions or concerns, commissioners? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Wait, we need to get him that information.
Oh, yeah.
before he leaves.
Yeah.
Well, we need to give them.
We need to get you this information on the grant, lady.
Well,
That's not us, that's the thing because they come back to us.
yeah, but she told me to give him her phone numbers. I'll get it to him.
You can get it to him.
Shani,
You got a number for him?
Ms. Robb, you have his contact information,
We do.
and we can get it to him in the morning. I have it tonight, so I can give it to you,
Okay.
okay? All right, Dr. Horton, where are we?
2.1.3.
All right,
Kelly,
Dalton. Okay, the L.H. Johnson Building, agenda item 2.13. And Mr. Darlton? Pardon? 104 Mill Street, okay. Yes. Okay? Yes, sir.
We just submitted everything for approval to move forward with our building plans.
Do we have,
Can you go into detail, please, as to what you would like to do to the building?
What was that?
is this?
Can you go into detail and tell us exactly?
In other
what
words,
you want?
organize what you can do for A, B, and C.
where's
As
the
far as how we're
application?
gonna, what construction parts are we
Yeah.
gonna?
Yeah,
Oh,
what
what-
do you want to change?
So the
What do
first
you
part is
want
the
to do?
awning. You should describe what you're doing
Yeah.
there.
All right, the awning is, I mean, we're gonna put back just like it is. A lot of the structure in the wood is kind of deteriorating, so we're not gonna change anything other than clean it up and get the material that's there back to sound condition on the awning.
And then put new galvanizing on the top?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay,
Is it gonna be painted or anything? It's just gonna be steel?
Hold on one
Pardon?
second.
Is it gonna be painted or anything like that?
Well, the underneath is painted white now, so we would probably go back with some kind of brushed type old look to get it kind of back to that state.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
you want to ask for a sample or not?
The next thing you said, exterior, wood decks and ramps, what's that?
Everything on the front of the building is of course all original and that's not being changed, other than railing. Pardon? Oh, yeah.
Just scroll down, huh? I mean, that.
Well, no, they have it in individual links.
That's example of the awning.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
underneath
example.
part, or that's the,
Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
No. And then decking, which would be a new deck on the riverside that we would install. It's also on the plans as well. We've got to put a handicap parking in the back for access, and we got to have an exterior door on that side to meet fire code. And that would also be ingress and egress for handicap parking and entry as well.
All right, can you explain to me on the deck that's gonna be on the riverside? You mentioned that it was on the plans. I've got what I believe to be the plans pulled up here. But describe to me like what it's gonna look like, how big it is, where it's gonna start, stop, that type of stuff.
do you have a layout of that? Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a diagram.
I'm trying to pull it up.
That's it. Is that the decking? What's the wood deck?
And what is, go back, what was that picture of?
Click on the whole different
The deck on the side is, I mean, I don't have the exact measurements in here. I thought that was submitted on the,
That's okay.
The deck on this side.
But is it gonna run, just generally describe, is it gonna run from the edge of your building down to the waterfront?
no, it'll be 20 foot out. The bank is really steep right there. We're gonna actually use the deck as a kind of a seawall as well, just because that is badly eroding right there. But the deck will run 3/4 of the length of the building on that, to the end of the building, on that side.
That's just the
And it's gonna be, there's a concrete, it's about 20 foot out, and it'll run the length of the building, about 3/4 of the way of the
So it's just
building.
straight out, Mr.
Pardon?
Carlton? It's just straight out?
Straight out and just straight down the side.
Okay, but not...
It's not gonna be on the water's edge, it's gonna be very high above the water.
Okay, and what goes on under it?
What goes under it, we'll have like 6x6 posts, piers, and we're gonna use that as a seawall, because that erosion comes way in toward the building right there.
It's bad.
So you're gonna use that as something to prevent further erosion?
Further erosion, and it'll have a decorative outside look to it, like a teardrop siding or something that as it goes down.
Put a retaining wall
Do you remember the plan from
in the
Hoagland's?
lake.
And it showed the seawall at the river, and then further up, there was another wall, or, well, there was a second wall going halfway up, and then this would be in addition to that other wall?
No, what, the bank is so steep right there, so to create, we've got to do decorative little islands in the side to be able to give it the facade of it, or the look of it, like Windsor stone or something like that, so we can do a lot of our shrubbery and planting to maintain that wall or that side of the bank. Then the decking will run about 100 and something feet that will be used as a seawall further up the bank, because it's just so steep right there.
So how do
Okay.
you get to it?
Do you have that plan with you?
It's in there.
That-
Was it this
that
one?
That's
Hoagland's
it.
plan?
No, the Hogan, the landscaping proposal, it's in.
It's on the other one, then go back to the landscaping.
You wanna see the person.
I want to, what I'm trying to get at is, how much of that plan are you changing? I
No,
guess is
we're
what
not
I'm-
changing none of that plan.
No, you're not gonna change any of that plan. So
Which one of
when you
these?
build your deck,
The last one,
Landscape plan.
the landscape plan.
I think on the original plan, from what I remember,
Go to-
Well,
was
done.
there,
That's it.
yeah.
That's it.
All right, where's that, Steve?
Yeah, where can I find that to look at?
That's gonna be, it's on, this is on a memory stick.
All right, we're not gonna have that on...
No.
What I wanted to ask was, okay, here's your decking right here.
That is correct.
Okay, what type of railing are you anticipating using there?
Like a iron railing, cast iron, metal railing.
Okay, one time you mentioned like all of this, in that metal railing?
That,
Is that
that's not metal,
Yeah.
that's actually like Windsor stone as a, for our
It looks
landscape.
So this is all
have a
stone,
detailed
but is
landscape
that
the
also
first time.
going
This
to be
one's just the
used
same
to
thing
support
with a landscape.
the seawall, the wall, I mean.
They
the
have
actual
landscape
side of
architect go
the-
out there instead of
so
just
it doesn't
tearing it
fall
all.
over.
Right, I mean, that is a lot of that.
Okay,
But to have
and you,
this-
okay, we'll get into that later, because you're not
It's,
here for
no,
that.
you realize there's a ton of erosion.
So that will be your metal there,
Because it's on a curve.
this is your wood,
So
and then
it's-
underneath
it's
that
constant.
was that other photograph we saw. We won't be able to see under it.
Right,
Correctly?
no,
It'll
you won't
just
be able to see
all be-
underneath the deck.
Right, okay. And then this is access from the front, and that's access from the back, is
That's
that right?
correct.
Now, is this where you will have your wheelchair accessible back here?
We will have
That'll
wheelchairs,
be one of them.
that'll be one of them,
That
yes.
will be another point.
Okay, and this one on the front, right there, where that one's going to be, you know, there's a ramp there now, that I'm sure is way too steep.
That's not a handicap ramp. It won't be, it's not,
Right,
this
will
be.
that
Probably was a
stay
loading
there, or
ramp.
do you plan to remove
Yeah.
that?
At this time, we haven't planned on removing that.
Okay, so you're gonna create a second one probably behind that, is
Or
what you're
on
It's
saying?
gonna be on
The far corner, the other side of the building.
the, no,
No, no, no. the top one.
Oh,
right
up
there.
here, up here.
Right.
Okay, where are your handicap spaces gonna be? In the back?
We've got one on the back and one on the front right there.
Just two?
You'd have
That's
to
all
have
you're
more than
required to
that.
have?
And we can which I'd have to look on the drawing.
That parking plan, Chantel, you have it, highlights the
I would think
ADA
you'd
right
have to have
there.
more than two
I would think so.
for a building of that scale, really?
There should be a requirement. Let's see, this is a parking, so you have here, and then you have here.
That's
like
showing, do you know what it
That's
is,
more.
Steve? Based on square
Two,
footage?
three,
Which one gives her, she's got it, she's just got
Yeah.
that's five.
Ms. Rob, do you
That's
have?
fine.
The parking
Yeah,
has
it's on the-
one Chantel has right there.
Yeah,
Should, it's
As
in
far as
the,
the handicap.
it's on the meeting pack.
Accessibility, how many ramps are there?
Should be
Or
on
how many spaces?
which spot?
Does that meet code? That meets code.
Did you say there are 5 spaces?
Space here, space here, space here, space here. So that's what it's showing.
So there are 5? Okay, there's 5. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But they only have 2 ramps.
Yeah, one
One in the
on
back and one
the
in
north
front.
side and then one on the
Front.
east side, the far side, yeah,
Okay,
okay.
that's in code as well?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'll help immensely. Oh, good, that thing came.
Yeah. Let there be light.
Okay, what was I gonna say? The railing, we have to have a sample of, or a picture of.
The
or something.
railing, you're considering that wrought
Well,
iron?
I
You think about
didn't
just
know
doing
where you
wrought
had it
iron?
on
or
here.
you
Well,
just-
it's kind of like you see on it's similar to the front street style banisters that they've got up there.
So it's decorative?
It's decorative.
Decorative railing, yes.
Okay.
Right, we still, I'm sorry we have to say this, but we still have to have a photograph or something of what you plan to do.
When you decide what the decorative is gonna look like, just submit it with your file so that it's on record as to what you use.
But we also have to make approval of it too. It has to be approved.
Is it gonna have like, is it gonna have a particular design to it or just generic?
It's like a picket style, metal railing.
Okay, well, a picket would have points.
It's slender.
In our last
So it's
meeting,
not
you said that the
as-
railing
it's
is
not
gonna
as
be
decorative.
vindictive,
So I guess
just like what
the
we have
question I'm asking, are
downtown.
you not?
That's
Is
right.
that, okay.
It's just like.
The last meeting that we had, when we looked at the layout,
Mm-hmm.
he said that the railing was gonna be similar to what we have downtown railings
Right.
for all of the black railing that we have. They're trying to make everything match that, of the same.
I wouldn't have a problem voting to approve railing that matches what's downtown. And if you deviate from that, then we might need to know what you're deviating. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, I
Not
think
the
that's
same
what we're trying to get
time
at,
period,
yeah.
so
Okay.
You may want to consider that.
And just so I understand, and I don't mean to, what all are you seeking approval from us tonight on? I'm sorry, I missed the last meeting, I apologize.
Well, we've owned the building for over a year now, and we have so much construction to do that we can't pull our permits or anything without the panel's approval. And that's what we're trying to do.
That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to go through the pieces that would get him approval from planning and zoning, through our historic district commission through planning and zoning. So he broke it down into exterior,
With wood decks,
So I think,
and then if you keep going down,
so we've gone through awning, we've gone through now the deck, and now these ramps. Ms. Salter was talking about the various locations of the ramp, whether or not there's a sufficient number is for planning and zoning to decide, right? And it's rock.
But they're out of concrete, and that's what we approve, is the
the
actual
parking lot's
materials.
gonna be a concrete parking lot.
Well, it's on the side, we were looking at kind of going under the historic guide, that on the left side of the building where you see the handicap parking spots there, that section would be blacktop to the end of the building. Then the end of the handicap ramp in the back would be concrete.
Starting right here.
That is correct. That's where it would stop, the asphalt. Then the back, where the handicap area is, would be concrete. That's a point. So this area right here would be concrete as well, or concrete. This area going across here to here, to here, to here would be blacktop. This area back here would be gravel,
Gravel or crushed stone?
crushed stone.
Uh-huh.
And then this area will be crushed stone as well.
Good, and that'll help with your drainage too.
Ma'am?
That will help with your drainage also.
Correct.
And also too, you want to make mention that you have an agreement with next door to share parking.
That is correct, with the state.
Okay, now,
That's good.
okay, so you're asking us also to approve the materials used for your parking lot at this point. Is this what you want as well tonight?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, then we have other things to discuss that go with parking lots, such as lighting and such as, landscaping, fencing, not fencing necessarily,
Go back
but the
to your
landscaping to try to hide as much of that as we can. Have you all addressed those issues
Isn't that on your
yet?
landscape plan from Hawk, that it's,
You can go back to it.
yeah, our landscape plan is on there, and we left all the greenery blocking from the lake or the river all the way to the back, so that really, from that part going, we left that, and I think that's gonna be all of this area right here,
So
we
from the
have
river,
left.
You will not be able to see this because
All of that was untouched.
if I'm not mistaken, you have your lighting put in to mark the lights
That is
are
correct.
included, and you're using the same lighting as downtown.
Bevel line.
Okay, and that's the issue right there, because that lighting, the lighting that's supposed to be in the parking lots, so it doesn't disturb anyone else around them.
Correct.
Needs to shine downward.
Correct.
And there's been issues this past month with what has happened over at the brewery that has affected all the neighbors on Williams Avenue there. And they went back and corrected that. They went in and put more floodlights. They went directly into everybody's bedrooms at night. And they went back and put a shield on them where they are now shining downward. Whereas you put that Bevlo light, the same thing's gonna happen. There's no shielding that goes across the river.
Think about the downtown.
We're talking about like a Bevelo lamp.
Lamp like outside here, we
Yeah.
have those on in front of our houses.
But they're gonna be gas or electric?
They'll be electric
There's specs of the lighting.
I don't think
Could you-
in that file.
Now, you said, when I looked at it, you said in
That's what
the,
he's
behind the
talking about.
building, those are all down.
Those are all what they call
All the way
scouts
around it.
or
Yeah.
scout lighting, where it goes straight down. It only really highlights a small area on the side of the building.
Right.
It does not shine out at all.
Well, no, I
So
mean,
it's
just-
all down.
just-
It's all down, yes, ma'am.
But the parking lot would look similar to like City Bank's parking lot.
That
with
is
the
correct.
lights.
What do you think about that?
Go
The
to lighting.
lighting, so.
Let me
a
see.
picture.
Of the lantern?
Yeah.
Do you,
Do
we
you have a
have,
picture of
Well, they're all the
That's-
same, they're outside.
That's it, that's the
This is
down
the
lighting.
lighting.
right
Oh,
there.
that's the down lighting.
That's a
The
down.
bevelos are the ones that are out here. They
Right.
go all the way down Second.
that are the
And those are the
lantern?
ones that are of
Right.
concern.
Right, so it's-
That's the one that I'm concerned about, not the downlighting, unless it gets up, and if there is an issue, you're gonna have to go back and fix
Are
it.
these the down-
Right, and yeah, if there is any kind of issue, I mean,
And
most
it may
definitely.
just be one or two, not all of them.
Right.
I
There's
know,
just,
I know.
if you're aware of that, I think
Well,
Bevlo is
river,
great, they're
Right.
gorgeous. But, we just wanna make sure that nothing happens,
Yeah, I'm not sure they're gonna put off enough light.
It has aluminums on there.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the Bevelo lanterns, that's not gonna put off enough light to interfere with the neighbors. You're not gonna be able to see it from over there barely, huh?
It shouldn't.
by leaving the trees that you have left, that should pretty well take care of that. I just want you to understand, though, that if there is an issue, we have to address it, just like we did with the brewery.
Okay.
It
last
worked-
month.
It worked out. It
Yeah.
worked out very well. They were very receptive to
Yeah.
the change. There was no problem. So
Okay.
we want to work with you on it because it's an important area.
That looks great what y'all did with the parking lot. Thank y'all for that. What's the next thing here is a front porch area?
Are you planning on doing any painting on the front? Are you gonna leave all
What is
the
that?
signs that are there?
We're gonna leave, all of the branding that is there on the building,
Okay,
as it is. We've kind of been into some discussions, of course. If there's anything that we would change, or we would submit it to the panel, but
Okay.
for
I'm just
approval.
trying to think about anything else that would come up right now while you're trying to do all of this.
And that's so you can move on.
Yeah.
And then
Yes, ma'am.
gradually come back under old.
And so
business.
That's correct.
The front porch is going to be just like it is. Are you going to put a railing up there of any kind
On
on
the
that
what?
front? You know, on the front of the building where all that concrete is.
deck.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would match our side railing like I said, downtown. It's all going to be the same.
Okay, so you want to put railing there?
That is correct.
Okay.
When you say that, are you gonna go in on the front of the painting, I mean to back up, but are you gonna repaint the same, stuff that's already there, or is it just gonna look, you're not gonna repaint it, what are you doing?
No, we're just going to kind of leave the facade or whatever.
It's gonna look just like that, except for that Gillette Realty sign.
Yeah.
And that's great.
I love that.
So you just talking about cleaning
I like the
it up.
Gillette
We're
Realty
going, now,
sign
we
too, I'm not being
will,
critical.
we're going to kind of clean some of that stuff up. We got a bunch of cleaning to do.
Now, will the front doors remain the same?
The front doors will be recreated out of wood like that.
But no bars on
No
it.
bars on them.
Okay, there'll be the 12 lights,
Pardon?
a 12 light, these are 12 light doors.
The number of
The
Yes,
number of little
panels.
window panes,
Yes.
just like that and then the panels below.
right.
Okay, just like they look. All right, and then down further, there's a little screen door. I don't know what's behind that, that's another, it looks like another.
solid wooden door.
No,
That's
it
another
looks like-
wooden door.
Oh, it's a window.
It's a window, yeah,
Are y'all gonna replace the screen door?
Yes.
okay.
Is
So
you
you're
gonna,
gonna
what are you
Now,
gonna
we may
replace?
we're not going to leave the screen door. We're going
You
to
just gotta
replace
take
the
it off.
wooden
Replace the
door
door.
that's
yeah,
there.
What's there, okay.
With the same.
With the
With the
sign.
same,
Are
yeah.
y'all taking those window units out?
Yes.
Those are antiques.
I understand. Are you having to replace the windows?
Okay,
You might-
We ordered all new windows.
Okay, what are the windows made of?
Same wood style, milled windows.
Are you
Okay.
doing anything lighting on the front, different?
Yeah.
As far as the lighting, we would probably do something similar to that's there, but more up, I guess I won't say more modern. That's just some EMT with some,
That would be something you would decide and you would return to the commission with that in your file to get approved. And then you
Correct.
know exactly what I'm gonna put for lighting in the front. We're not putting you on the spot to decide that right now. That's just something you wanna consider is what lighting are you gonna, hardware, I guess, are you gonna put on the front for lighting?
Yeah, and just so we can have your file, I don't think that, I don't speak for everybody on here, but, I mean, the doors are gonna have, obviously hardware, the door handles and everything. And I know when I built my house, I mean, I came in and in my file, I've got the specs for the door handle that I'm gonna use. So those are in there already?
Specs.
All the hardware spec? Perfect.
let's go back and talk about the windows just a moment, please. Because we're real particular about the front windows that are across the front of any of the old structures here. Explain in detail what they look like.
Or do you have a?
Do you have a picture of
Do
them?
you have a picture of it?
actually, I mean, there's a guy that came out of Baton Rouge that came up here and measured every window, every door that we've got in this whole building. Even the doors we have to add for fire marshal's approval. They went back and put a design together, and these are all custom to match exactly what is there. And believe, I've never paid that much for doors in my entire life.
Yeah, so
but
like if it's 24 panes, it's got 24 panes.
It's got 24 panes.
That's what I'm getting
That's
at.
what we were-
They're
Yes.
going to be exactly, and they are.
It's gonna be
wood-
exactly the
wood, and
same.
they'll be paint, okay.
The windows, just for your information, the windows are considered one of the key architectural elements of any structure in the district. So we always are very sensitive to that, and you showing that you care about that too, so that's a plus.
Right.
Anything else,
We're
Commissioner?
talking about the lighting, we're talking about the hardware.
What about the electrical panels that you have on the outside there? They're gonna remain there?
Oh, in the front?
Uh-huh.
You're gonna take those and move them, aren't you?
What is it
All
now?
the electrical.
All the
panels.
Oh, yeah, all the
All the
electrical
electrical
panels will be
panels that you have
removed. I mean, we've got to do a complete
Electrical wiring.
overhaul.
Okay.
The
So
appropriate-
those will be
That's the
removed.
front, the side, we're talking about the parking lot, the lighting, the actual crushed stone.
Mhm.
What else? Oh, okay, the agreement over there with the state for that parking lot that's going over there on their property. Is there any design or anything like that for any kind of shrubbery or anything else that's around it?
They've got trees on the other part over there with the state that they have, we can't remove or touch.
Right.
And basically, that whole parking, other than road access, is surrounded by shrubbery.
Okay.
And we've also got to build a 8-foot, I think it's 8-foot privacy fence to block off the entire fort.
Well, I was wondering, because they have that structure there where they put their garden tools and things like
Right.
that. How far from that will this parking lot be?
Probably 20, I think it is exactly 20 foot.
Okay.
And we've got to build an 8-foot privacy fence completely from the front all the way to the back of our lot.
Okay,
It's got to be in the L shape. If you pull the parking lot,
right, I'm looking at it right here. Right here, a fence here, and here, and here, all the way around it.
all right, so we will have to build from here, the building is right in here, it's 20 foot to this fence. We will have to build an 8-foot privacy fence with an access gate for them right here, but then this fence has to follow the whole contour and it'll stop.
Are they mandating you put 8 foot? Because I mean, normally your height's 7, but I'm saying if they're saying 8, they may have a reason for protecting the integrity of the fort. I don't know.
Well, part of it is
Could be.
vandalism.
Yeah.
They're having a problem with vandalism there, and they want a privacy fence there. We've been working through, the particulars of all that, but that is in it.
It's fine, just, you
Yeah.
make sure that you don't get out of city regulations if you go 8 and it's supposed to be
I would love to
7.
go with a 6.
I understand what you're saying, just make sure you stay within the city designations. The fence, I think we're all saying is fine.
Which side will the finished side of the fence face?
Well, the finished side, I would want facing us.
I would too.
Yeah, I would ask for that.
Now, I am
Justice?
dealing with the state.
Yeah.
If they are requiring you to do an 8-foot fence, we would have to go before P and Z for a variance, because the
Well,
max is
We
7.
will put that in a recommendation to them to see if they will allow 6 foot.
And I know this may be expensive, and if it's,
Yeah.
and I know y'all have spent a lot of money, and I was gonna compliment everything y'all doing. Do you know how much, and I guess it'll depend if you go 6 or 8, if I'm driving on Mill Street this way, I'd like that side to be finished, but again, if I was you and I owned this, I'd want the finished side to be facing me. Is it just cost prohibitive to finish both sides of just this portion such that people that, and I don't even know the angle, and I'm thinking about it. If I'm driving down Mill Street, am I gonna see the unfinished side of
I
privacy?
think you would
fence
see
right there?
very little of it, because when you come, there's 2 gates to that entrance to that park. And literally, the first gate, we're right at the post going down. There's only 20 foot, it's a narrow, very narrow pathway to get back there.
Well, at the appropriate time, I would move to approve the application, and I'd just like to say how much I appreciate all the, we met with y'all, I don't know, what it was, 6 months ago, Chris, back there, and y'all have done exactly what we asked, from my perspective, exactly what we've asked y'all to do, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness and the effort that y'all put into it, at least from my perspective. So I've moved to approve the application.
We all feel that way.
Yeah.
Second.
We appreciate it. Who is second?
Second.
Dr. Owens is seconded. And before I call for a vote, we're on the same page as far as the fence. He would have to go before planning and zoning.
If he does 8, if he comes down to 7, he does not have to.
All right, well, it would be for safety and
If something, if they say it, then it's one thing, but if they don't, just stay within 7 and you're fine.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? And thank you very much. We're anxious to see you really get going with this project.
All right, thank you.
And please, any other samples that we need of anything, whether it's paint
Yeah, as you
colors?
get it, drop it off and just keep it in your file, and that way down the road, it's always there for evidence of archive.
And Ms.
Okay.
Rock would have everything in order, so if we had any questions or something came up, okay?
All right, thank
Good,
you.
thank you very much.
Something on that building, so we're
Yeah,
gonna-
I know, they rolled together.
Okay,
Corey, she just,
yeah. Good. What is the number?
yeah, I would.
3.1.
Lawyers look at it because they're making.
New business, we're new business.
I know like banking stuff.
Yeah, this is new business.
You gotta make sure.
We have new business, agenda item 3.1. Marion Salter will present that for the Cunningham Law Office, and Ms. Salter, you need to remove
Yes.
yourself from the commission table.
Yes, I knew myself.
And the minutes need to show that Commissioner Salter removed herself from the commission table.
I'm here for representing the Historic District Commission, Foundation, excuse me. And I'm on the Board of Directors there. And what we are asking is, at the old Cunningham Law Office, which is our office now, behind there is the Mildred Bailey Garden. And behind that is a parking lot that actually adjoins the Baptist Church parking lot, but it's the back of Danny Dice's building. And he actually owns that building. Well, there's a concrete wall there that we wish to paint. It's just old, ugly concrete. And we're in the process of right now totally redoing the gardens back there. And we would like to paint that wall. I have talked with Mr. Dice. He has given us approval to paint the wall. And the color is coming up in just a minute. It's just a little bit lighter than the color of Danny's Dice's building. And it's more, that's not it either, it's kind of a rusty color, rusty whatever. The other
It's
way.
in our packet.
We have a
We have it here in
sample.
the packet.
Yeah.
Well, somewhere in there. Anyway, it's a little bit lighter than Danny's building.
It's like a
It
brick.
matches into our brick
brick
wall
color.
that's behind the foundation building. And we just wanted approval to paint the small wall. It's probably about a
3 feet.
50-foot wall
About
and
3 feet
maybe
high.
6 foot tall. Yeah.
It's
And the
cement.
foliage will grow up
It's like a
behind.
retaining wall, but it's been there.
It's been there 100 years, yeah, right.
This is the color.
Yep.
Yeah, that's there. Is there a
You have,
motion
you have
to
the
approve?
color on your.
I move to approve the application as presented.
Dr. Horton has moved to approve the application as presented. Mr. Donahoe has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Okay. Let the minutes show that Ms. Salter returned to the commission table, please. All right. 3.2, 330 Williams Avenue, Mr. McGuire, paint. Is someone here representing Mr. McGuire?
He's here. Yeah, I don't know why you don't have that.
When is it?
I don't think you updated it. Do you have this?
Okay.
Yeah, hello, I'm Ray McGuire. I was just put a new paint job on my house at 330 Williams. I think I submitted some colors a few months ago, but my daughter vetoed me. Told me to get some more colors, so I resubmitted 3 more colors that were a little softer. And it's not showing up on that, but I decided to go with a Comfort Gray. It's really about the same color as this, with a white trim and a dark green tint or accent.
It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
I brought the car. I think they must have fallen out on pocket in the truck.
Right here.
But I can, yeah, there you go, right there. You have them.
Can we see that, Ms. Rock, please?
It looks like a black.
It's a green, it's a green, yeah.
It's called gray, but it's really, looks more green than gray.
I move to approve that application as presented.
Dr.
Second.
Horton has moved to approve the application presented. Dr. Crosno has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Okay. 3-3 Roosevelt Sykes, 518 Texas Street, renovation, and we should have some supporting documents. Is someone here representing Mr.?
Yes.
Sykes.
And this is on Texas, in the new area. So you're in the new area that's going to be,
Ma'am?
you're in the new area of Texas Street.
And what would you like to do?
Ma'am?
What would you,
What are you planning to do?
The only thing he's gonna put in that little spaces like storages, put his deep freezers and things and put a top on it. That's pretty much all that's gonna be.
So we're building a structure?
Yeah.
and what, can you tell us about the exterior? Is it painted? Is
Well, he's gonna put plywood up and then paint it. Yes, ma'am.
any windows or doors?
It's gonna be a door right there where he can go in and out. And then it's gonna also have an interior door right there where you see that on that other building. So you have two entrances going in and out.
And this is used for,
But it's like a barbecue snack place in Cracklins.
Soul food place.
Yeah.
Okay, is this the back side of the property?
It's like the side of it.
The
That's the
side?
back side of it right there, yes. The
isn't
picture
it
was
on a
next.
corner?
That's what you see when you
Yes,
drive.
ma'am.
I drove down Texas Street the
Oh,
other
okay,
day. That's-
okay, okay.
You can
I'm
see
sorry.
it exactly as it is.
I'm sorry,
And what
okay.
about color? He said he was going to paint it. What about color?
Do you have a color yet that
You
you're
have
gonna
the paint
use?
color?
Yeah.
White.
It's gonna match the same
Oh,
structure he already has there.
Yeah, it'll match
Or
the.
it's like a tan,
What?
cream color.
Yeah, the main structure.
And what's the roof gonna be made out of?
Metal.
Metal?
And
Just
what,
like what you see on the other little,
See the metal on that side?
So it's
Does it
actually
match?
gonna kind of look like the other.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you gonna paint the other one?
Yes, all of it's gonna be painted.
All of it's gonna be painted, be
Yes,
really
ma'am.
nice.
what
They'll
about
all
painting?
flow
What
together.
about the
Right.
trim? That would,
I don't think there
Oh,
is
it's
gonna be any
black.
trim color. There's no windows.
No, never need a window, never doors.
okay.
So it's, okay, what color would the doors be?
It's
Probably.
gonna be just a regular interior door you buy, I mean, it's already primed, and we'll just paint it and leave it primed on.
White?
Why?
Yeah, it'd be white.
Okay, okay. That's what, yeah, those exterior doors is what I was getting at as well. Okay.
Do you plan to do any skirting or anything down below the floor?
Yes,
of it?
ma'am.
And what will that be?
Just some vinyl,
Pilings?
Vinyl, some vinyl.
yes, ma'am.
Kind of vinyl.
Are you concerned about the vinyl as far as upkeep and any deterioration?
No, ma'am, I don't think we should have any deterioration from it.
What
This
kind
would
of,
Because we're gonna use the trim at the bottom and sit it in and then go around with it. Just cut some vinyl about at least 12 inches from the ground up. Just enough while we wanna get a rope or something to get up under there.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What about steps?
Yes, the only step we gonna have going into was gonna be the door on this side.
Wooden
Well, it's got-
steps or concrete?
It's gonna be it's a low step already, so it's just gonna maybe one step up.
Is it gonna be a wooden?
Wooden or concrete?
Probably wooden.
Wooden, okay. And it's gonna be painted to match the exterior of the structure.
okay, I make a motion to approve
Okay.
I
the
second.
application.
Ms. Salter has moved to accept the application as presented. Dr. Horton has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
And you're gonna have what kind of menu?
It's mostly barbecue plates, and then it's gonna have like cracklings and stuff too.
Oh,
Cracklins?
Yes, ma'am.
Good barbecue. Better be good barbecue. We need a good barbecue.
Make some crackling cornbread.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, 3.4, Kirk Cordell, 215 Sydney Street, minor repair. Is there someone here representing, are you, you had to stay the whole time, didn't you?
Cordell is in,
He's on the east coast.
yes.
Tell us what you're doing.
We'd like to put a roof on the house, a new shingle roof on the house, and there's a couple of photographs with it. There's some, what we consider non-historic, crown mold, right there, if you notice, this is a pattern crown mold that's modern, okay? And then cut this board right here off, not the fascia, just this board that sticks out beyond the roof, which shouldn't be there, okay? And then repair this siding and flashing right there on the back of the house. And that's it.
Paint it,
Ma'am?
paint it.
No,
Paint to
ma'am.
match, no
We're
paint.
not planning on painting it, but do, repair the siding and flashing here, and if we have to replace the siding, we'll paint it at the same time.
Sure.
And the shingle will match the existing shingle?
It'll be similar, very similar. So what's up there is kind of the weatherwood now, we'll put a weatherwood back.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing drastic.
I move to approve it.
Mr. Donahoe has moved to approve the application. Dr. Owens.
Second.
seconded. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, did you?
Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay.
What about the house at 162 Sydney? No, excuse me, 162 Cypress.
That was the one that was,
That was,
Oh, that's where the tree fell in?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am, correct.
right.
She was here last month.
Yeah, but she said she was submitting
it was
a,
supposed to be ratified.
okay.
I suspect that's one of the ones we ratified.
It was
was,
one,
yeah.
yeah.
First.
It was one that we ratified.
Nothing, we're working on that house also, and
Yeah.
not changing much other than the one crushed window that is just.
Well, in fact, she couldn't explain that really well, so that's what's gonna happen. You just replace that back window.
Yes, but we may replace it with a modern
Yeah,
aluminum window.
it's on the
in
back of the house. It's on the back of the house. That's
Right.
fine. Yeah, okay.
Right?
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Greg.
That's all.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you. We haven't seen you in a while.
Been busy.
Otherwise been busy.
It's like every other contractor in town, they're busy.
Yes, that's good.
I'm glad
That's
though.
good.
Y'all get after
Bye.
Bye. Agenda item 3.5, MacArthur and Verna Bolden at 422 line. No one's here representing them, so we cannot take up the application. Is there, let me,
What is it, Flora?
Says
It's
major
that-
renovations.
Oh,
Yeah.
my.
so,
And paint color, but I don't know which
That's
house
not
that
a good
is.
picture.
It's not really a house, it's that little round shaped thing right next to the.
Oh,
what
where
is
they
that?
cut down the tree?
Yeah,
That thing. Looks
That-
like the old Army airport design.
yeah, that little dome
So
looking
it's on
thing.
Fifth Street, Fifth and 2 line.
It-
Oh.
well, we
the-
can't take it up
Isn't that
anyway,
it?
so
Right, yeah.
we'll have to wait on that. All right.
Okay.
He just in short, it looks like he's replacing the old windows with the same new windows, but we'd have to ask the question, what is the old and
Well,
is
we
the
need
new wood or
samples
whatever,
and
and
that kind of
then
thing, yeah.
it looks like he's replacing
Paint
the
and stuff too.
paint, and then he's adding a garage door, so, and French door, yeah,
I'm surprised he didn't come, gee.
that's a lot of
And
stuff.
we called
guys.
them, so it's surprising that they didn't come.
Let me tell you just a couple of things. When I spoke with Rebecca, and I'll give you the information to give the the other people, so that they have that and they can contact her. But she said that the inventory being done by, is it Cultural Resources? The entire historic district will be included, not only the ones that have been added, the extensions of the district. That's starting, so that's really important.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how long they'll be here. I'll get to her that information, and she said that there are grant opportunities available. She's offered to assist them, which is good because she's so knowledgeable and really has a reach into money sometimes. So I'll get that situated. On a personal note, I'm facing a surgery to replace my left knee in July. So from June, July, and August, Dr. Horton's got to conduct the meetings probably because we'll be in Houston. So I expect flowers and chocolate and a little
Might as
champagne.
well put your order in now.
A little champagne on the side. Is there any other business or anything, Ms. Rock?
No, ma'am.
I have to,
Move to adjourn.
I had a question. And I don't know if this is within our jurisdiction or not, but on the corner, the house located on Second Street at the corner of Poet, adjacent to Judge Porter House, there's been a car that's been parked there in the front yard with a cover on it for months now.
Months and months and months.
And where is it, Jared?
It's on Second Street, on the corner of Poet.
Okay.
just on-
Right next to Judge Porter.
Right across from Judge Porterhouse. And, it's on the, section fronting Second Street. I don't know if that's us. Do we have a city ordinance that prohibits the long-term parking of vehicles in the yards? I mean,
Not to park in the yards unless there's something in the historic district ordinances about parking in the yards.
I think there
Other than
is.
that-
I think I got fussed at when I lived on 404 because I would park kind of in the, right there next to the radio station. Remember that?
Yeah, you were fussing.
Yeah, the radio station people were fussing at me
Yeah.
because I was parking that little.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I say I don't think there's any, because if you look across the street, most of the parking that they do is in the front yard.
Yeah.
When you pass the Second Street apartments that were torn down, and you go, what is that little street right across from it? Everybody parks in the front yard.
But he's not even parked. I mean,
He's
He's
just
storing
kinda
he's
just stuck
storing
there.
his vehicle there. He's got a tarp over it that hadn't moved. And it's not like it's a antique vehicle that he's just tarping for protection. He's just leaving it there.
Well, can you?
And see,
just-
the ordinance that we have is if you have it covered, then they won't legally make you move it.
If you have a cover?
So we have this push with abandoned vehicles and
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Maybe why he has a cover on it.
Well, that's part of the reason why we can't really mess with them, because they got it covered. But it looks tacky, but I don't have any other thing to make him move it. Unless we update something in the historic district ordinance.
Well,
It
and
says-
City council would need to pass an ordinance prohibiting that in the district. I also think, that, and I don't know, we've mentioned this before, about passing a statute that prohibits the demolition of things by neglect, which is essentially what's happened with this water tower, is we've allowed people to demolish things by inactivity, by refusing to repair things and allow things to get into a state in which they pose a risk to
Yeah.
people. We ought to have some mechanism under the statute to say, you're in essence demolishing that structure, and we're gonna punish you as if you're demolishing it without our approval. New Orleans has that as part of their regulations.
Didn't you do some research?
Yeah,
on
I
that?
found that on it, and I would think the right thing to do is to have the council pass an ordinance adopting a similar ordinance. I guess I can go talk to the mayor
Well,
and,
if you get it to us, then I would definitely.
Yeah, that would be.
We need something to help enforce this. I mean, I'm even concerned, even with the house that the Methodist Church is supposedly gonna redo.
Well, that project is
Across from-
starting. I mean.
Is it? I mean,
it's
the
in-
trees growing off the roof, you know, out of
Yeah.
the moss that's on the roof and stuff.
There's a committee that's been appointed, and it's my understanding that they're getting ready to.
Good, okay.
They've got to
do
still
some
come back
things.
to us.
But that's a good example.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
And,
and it's an important structure in the district.
Yeah, and there's so many of them are now. As time passes, we're gonna have to do something to help these people.
It's demolition by neglect.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of former Mayor Posey because he got up in the Methodist Church issue and did his best to keep it from getting neglected
Yeah.
because there was a group that just wanted to let it go
Yeah, just,
and
yeah.
fall apart, and he stopped that.
And he's the one who has really pushed, and
Yeah.
he's the one that.
And it looks like they're
indicated-
gonna see it to
Yeah.
Yeah.
project.
Well, I second Ms. Rosalind's motion to adjourn.
Oh, Dr. Cross, no.
You didn't hear me.
And Mr.